streets. I'd like to withdraw that and hold that for a follow-up meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, now audience participation limited to agenda items only. Could I have a motion open it to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anybody have any questions about anything on the agenda?
Mayor, if I can, if you're on Zoom, if you go down to the bottom of reactions, they added a thing in there that you can just raise your hand instead of going into participants. Okay, Hugh Giordano, please unmute yourself, state your name and address.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hugh Giordano, 57 Argyle, Blackwood, New Jersey. Mayor, Council, I'm here today in reference to the ordinance to ban cannabis. I am a union representative for the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, UFCW, Local 152. We're a national labor union of 1.3 million hardworking families. And we are the official labor union which represents cannabis workers from seed to sale, both medical and adult use, under the guise of the AFL-CIO. And we are also working currently with the NJ Building Trades for the retrofit and build out of the facilities. So there's many labor unions involved in this. I'm asking you to please table the ordinance for a few reasons. One, New Jersey has the best labor laws in cannabis in the country. Other states are copying ours. In fact, Virginia 2 weeks ago just legalized adult use, and they took the same language from New Jersey and put it into Virginia because it's going to create good union jobs, living wage, healthcare, dental, vision, sick time, paternity leave, and of course retirement. On top of that, these jobs are educated. Lots of these workers have degrees in chemistry, horticulture, botany. Even in the dispensary side, currently in the medical, there's pharmacists that work in the dispensary. So these are good paying jobs. These are careers. There's two things I would suggest. One, the city of Bayonne passed an ordinance about 5-6 weeks ago, which lays out a pathway to allow what you want into your community. It's a very conservative ordinance, but it does lay out the permit process, how much the permits cost, the renewal fees, who they're allowing in, and the most importantly, they have a merit-based system, a merit-based application system. So you can control who comes in based on what you want. Bayonne put in pages 10, 11, and 12 of the Bayonne ordinance. They laid out environmental standards, labor standards, community standards, security standards. So you can control who comes in and you can control who doesn't. It's very important that labor standards be involved in that. The other thing is, I would suggest I can give you a tour of the Garden State Dispensary, which is in Woodbridge. It's one of the original medical facilities. It's a seed to sale facility, so you can see everything in the process. I've taken many mayors and councils there. It's a way for you to see it yourself, so that way you don't have to hear what ifs. You can see it for yourself, and you can see the security and the talent that works at these facilities. So again, on behalf of the UFCW, on behalf of the New Jersey Building Trades, on behalf of the AFL-CIO, we ask that you please table this ordinance. Please adopt the City of Bayonne's ordinance, and please visit the facility. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your input. Any reply from anyone on the council? Okay, anyone else?
Jay Walsh 5, please unmute yourself and state your name and address.
Hi, Joanne Walsh, 253 Euclid Avenue. I just had a question about what was being proposed in the grant application for Curtis Park.
Mayor, I think I can answer that if you'd like.
You or Joe.
I'm here as well.
That's the the state recreation grant, correct, Joe?
Yes.
Okay. I'll let you.
So at this time, we're looking to propose improvements to the various aspects of Curtis Park right now. And the borough is searching for additional funding to help improve the park and improve the current playground facilities and appropriate amenities throughout the site.
Joe, I think you hit on a word that's crucial to this. I know some of the neighbors care quite a bit, but this is we call it a park improvement, but it's really a playground improvement.
Without question.
Playground upgrade, very similar to the one we just finished up at Skokas Park. If you get a chance, by the way, anyone gets to go see Skokas, it came out great. And this would be in that vein. To answer the main question, there is not a bathroom in the plan. Is that correct, Joe?
That is correct. There is no bathroom in the plan. We've coordinated with the county from previous grant administration, grant applications, and all reference to bathrooms have been stricken from this project.
And Joanne, the next time you head over to the recycling center, Skokas Park is right next door. I mean, I was going to include this in my committee report, but a lot of the young families that live by me at Cedar have made their way over there, and they're raving about it. So when you bring your bottles, or if you ever over at the town dump, take a look at it, because that's what we're looking to do along those lines with Curtis, and it's spectacular. It really is. The playground.
Yeah, just to echo that, it's been busy all weekend over there, and after school today, it's just it looks like they're handing out tickets to the carnival. It's great. It's great. There's a lot of people, and it's it's a great park to be at. It's nice and shaded like Curtis, so looking for those kind of upgrades over at Curtis as well.
Great, thank you so much. I'll take a look.
Next, Marina. Please unmute, state your name and address.
Yes, hello. My name is Marina Redmond. I live at 3 Borough Square, Parlin, New Jersey. I would also like to ask you to please table this ordinance. I'd like to discuss my journey with it. I suffer from PTSD and unfortunately cancer. Between the ages of 1 and 4.5, I had to have a bunch of surgeries on my leg back in a big New York City hospital. Back then, they did things a lot differently. The parents weren't allowed to stay over. So you were left in this big, scary hospital between the ages of 1 and 4.5, and you had to see your mother and father walk away from you. And it was scary, and it was heartbreaking for me. I was treated very well, but I still wanted my mom there, and you weren't allowed to. What was worse was being told I had to go inside the operating room. And now you can bring your kid in there, you can bring a stuffed animal in there. I wasn't allowed to bring anything in there. And this is where my PTSD started. I had to have my leg amputated at the age of 4.5. I had to spend 2 weeks in a bed, another 2 weeks in the hospital. Yes, they do things differently now, and I'm so grateful for it. And unfortunately, in 2017, I was diagnosed with cancer. Within 3 weeks, I lost 50 pounds because I couldn't get my medicine. It was horrible. No matter what medicine they prescribed me, it didn't work. The only thing worked was medical cannabis. And it was beautiful. And I could actually live. I could walk, I could eat, I could do everything. You actually have 5 doctors in your town that prescribe medical cannabis, 2 oncologists, and an anesthetist, intern medicine, and a physical medicine and rehabilitation doctor. You have over 105 doctors in your county alone that prescribe medical cannabis. You have almost 400 CVSs in your town that prescribe all sorts of drugs. You have 280 Walgreens in the state of New Jersey that also prescribe all sorts of medications. There was a child who had a 25-hour seizure because that child could not get her medical cannabis. This child suffered a long and torturous death. Veterans are taking this medication to help them with their PTSD. There's actually, and I don't have the name of the pharmaceutical drug, which they take for depression, which also causes suicide. If you want to ask me any questions, please do so. Like I said, you have 5 doctors already in your town that prescribe this wonderful medicine that helps. And this has helped me out so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next is Lefty Grimes. Please unmute and state your name and address.
Good evening, Council. My name is Lefty Grimes. I'm with sativacross.org. We're a 501c3 here in New Jersey advocating for disabled and cannabis patients. I live in 84 Hanover Road, East Hanover. I I don't see a medical exception in this ordinance, so I'm assuming that medical is banned. So I'd like you to consider what it's like to live in a wheelchair. All the people we know are sick and dying, and we need your help. And if you're living in a wheelchair, you have to understand that it's very hard to get your medicine. Even if it's at a pharmacy, it's very hard. People are sick. They have to take a ride. You're making people take rides out of your town that are sick and suffering with cancer. Disabled war vets. Haven't disabled war vets been through enough? Can't we give them a break? Can't we put the last first? Like the Bible says, we have to put the last first. And consider what it's like to live in a wheelchair. I ask every council this, to spend a day in a wheelchair, and not one council will take me up on it, and I know why. Because it's a horrible situation, and you probably know how bad the wheelchair access is around New Jersey. You probably have seen it. If you know somebody who's sick, you probably are aware that light bulb has gone off in your head. If you know somebody or if a family member has been in a wheelchair or has been sick, maybe medical cannabis has helped you or helped somebody in your family. I was on opiates for 10 years because I have an artificial disc, a fusion, a 2-level cervical, and I was on opiates for 10 years. They had me on OxyContin, Roxicodone, Valium, Neurontin, 90 milligrams of Roxicodone every 3 hours was my prescription. These doctors were trying to kill me. And it was very hard to get off all those pills. I was physically dependent because of my pain and because of the withdrawals, how hard it was. It was very hard. Knowing what I know now, I would have made it easier on myself with oils and suppositories. Fico is fully extract cannabis oil. Fico suppositories, lotions, edibles. I didn't do that. I just bought a big bag of cannabis, and I tried to get off the opiates that way, and it was not easy. The third day, I was in the fetal position on the floor. Second time, same thing, fetal position on the floor. Third time, same thing. I didn't give up, though. Fourth time, I got off those opiates. And now I advocate for other people to help them get off opiates and to help them with their situations, because cannabis is helpful to a lot of different things. God put it here for a reason. You're not banning synthetic cannabis that they sell in the pharmacies, because they are selling synthetic cannabis. It's called Marinol and Dronabinol. But God's medicine we stigmatize, and I don't understand why. It's super helpful to a lot of people, and including me, and that's why I advocate for it. And I advocate for people that can't be here right now, that are sick in their bed, sick and dying and suffering. Some vets are probably home right now with a gun in their mouth, ready to kill themselves. And they're going to reach for that joint instead of that gun. This is a sad story, but it's a very common story around New Jersey and around the country. I'll end with this. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jeff King, please state your name and address. Jeff, we still can't hear you. Nope, not yet.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Jeffrey King. I'm at 24 Elizabeth Parkway in Eatontown. And I'd also like to ask the council and the mayor and all the people of Manasquan to please think of the patients, think of the medical good that you can do to help people who are sick and suffering, and sometimes literally on their deathbed. People of all ages, grandparents, parents, children, our brothers and sisters. It's really critical that we think that good that we can do, and try to carve out some space for the medical at a very minimum. I do believe it would be good for your community on other levels. I do believe it would be good as jobs, and I believe it would be good as rateable in the community. I believe it would be good as an alternative to alcohol. I think that's a lot more dangerous and destructive and toxic and deadly. I think, the Osprey and Legates are accepted parts of the community, and I think you can do something with cannabis that's more akin to Green Planet coffee. it'll be a lot quieter and calmer, and you can control the hours, you can control the zone. That's just retail. So I don't know if that's right for you or not. Maybe it's not. I don't know if you have the zoning for industrial for growing. It's probably better to do that further west, like most agricultural farming things. But maybe a delivery service could run out of your town. Who knows? Point Pleasant is not receptive, so where's Bruce Springsteen going to find his cannabis if he comes to the inlet? Nowhere. I don't know. The people voted yes for it, so it's not like you're necessarily even in tune with that. The American Legion is for medical. The AARP is for medical. They had a whole issue on it. So just definitely think of medical, if nothing else. And think about the people who voted yes for this and the governor denied home growing rights. That's incongruent. So I don't understand. We're going to cater to corporations, but not really. It's very confusing to me. The people voted for this, so I think that we should heed their will. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Oh, no, it's online.
Hands in the audience. Anybody in person? You can go to the microphone, name and address, please. Agenda items only, please.
Sure. Nancy Tishio. This is about the Curtis Park.
Address, Nancy.
17 Meadow Avenue. Right now there's you want to make an L shape recreation area. And I think that we could instead keep the same footprint, go straight back. Nobody uses the shuffleboard hardly at all. Go all the way back with the kids stuff all the way straight so that you're not changing the basic use or shape of the park. There's a lot of people that use it for yoga or for just running around with their kids or leaving it open. You also can see the garden that the sea lavenders work on from the road. If you do an L shape, you'll no longer see that. So I just want to say that I think there could be other designs than the one that's an L shape, that's 10,000 square foot of property. Use what you've got where people are really not using that other, I've seen some skateboarders on it, but not any shuffleboard people. So if you could go straight back, then we could still have our garden, our plant sale. People could still do their yoga. Kids could run around, have some open space. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Nancy Jordan. I live at 261 Euclid. I also happen to be president of the Sea Lavenders Garden Club. And I would support what my friend Nan had said. I think we need to also think about passive recreation. As Councilman Mangan said, this is a playground and a playground improvement. And I'm all for that and extending access for disabled children. But I think it's about the location, the scale and scope relative to that scale of the size of the park. I think a bathroom is completely inappropriate, but I was happy to hear you say that before. But I think it's more than that. I think it's the scale and scope and the beauty of it. People who enjoy that park walk by, ride by, drive by. They're in their cars. They're walking with their children. This is not just people who step foot on the park. It's not just about children on bicycles. And I think we need to think about that as a centerpiece. It's a statement of who we are as a community and what we value in aesthetics. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Grady, 264 Euclid Avenue. Tell me, what's wrong with the park? What's wrong with the playground? It's not that old. It's not deteriorated. It's not falling down. You just put, a $10,000 playpen fence around it. How much money are we going to still throw away? If you're going to be looking to build a new thing, a new park, a special purpose thing, there's plenty other places that maybe down by the Little League field where you have plenty of handicap parking. You could have a whole thing. There's a bathroom down there. Put some thought into this. I thought we were going to meet with our special interest group. Now all of a sudden there's a proposal, I see.
To answer the basic question, Mike, I would seriously recommend, if you haven't had a chance, to go look at the other playground.
No, I don't need to see that. I know what
it
it
answers
is.
your
I go
que-
by
it
there.
answers
Yes,
your-
Jim, I go to recycle. I know what it looks like. What's wrong with the one that's there
I'm
now?
sorry.
Yeah, I know. That's the
answer I thought I was going to get. That's everybody else? For agenda items only. Okay, nobody? Could I have a motion to close the audience participation portion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Next item on the agenda is a proclamation for John Jensen. Whereas John Darrell Jensen has been named as the honorary chairman of the 2021 Memorial Day ceremony in the borough of Manasquan. Whereas John was born in 1931 and graduated from Manasquan High School in 1950 and was an active member of the Manasquan Boy Scout Troop 59. Whereas in 1949, Jane was honored with the Eagle Scout Award, which is the highest attainable rank in Boy Scouts of America program. Whereas in
All right, we're going to switch
1951,
over.
during the Korean War, John enlisted in the United States Air Force and trained in the field of aircraft and engine mechanics. He was then overseas to serve with the 12th Fighter Bomber Squadron, known as the Foxy Few, at Wonju Air Base K-46 in South Korea. And whereas during John's time in South Korea, he was later assigned as a forward observer in the 45th Infantry Division, where he directed Mustang F-51 airstrikes against enemy troops and encampments, which was a highly dangerous assignment. And whereas John served in Korea for 18 months until being evacuated to Tokyo Hospital due to pneumonia.
All right, we're going to move back to
Langley Air Force Base in Virginia.
Hightstown.
Whereas John was awarded the
This is
United States
Hightstown
Navy
here.
Service Medal and the Korean Service Medal with 3 battle stars. He was honorably discharged in November 1953. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Edward Donovan, Mayor of the Borough of Manasquan, on behalf of the Council and the good people of Manasquan, do hereby proclaim and distinguished recognition of John Darrell Jensen for his service to our country, ensuring freedom for all. Now, therefore, be it resolved that 2 official copies of this proclamation be spread upon the minutes of the Borough Council meeting on May 17, 2021, and that our profound gratitude be conveyed to John Darrell Jensen for his commitment to the Borough of Manasquan and to the veterans of foreign war post 1838.
All right.
That I hear about truck traffic. I think I speak for the commission because we did discuss this, that it is something that we would oppose. I just can't imagine in a town where we are so strapped for open space, areas for people to enjoy the environment, and even places for our kids to play and run freely, that we would take that away. So, I know that I'm speaking for some of the people, for the Parks and Rec Commission in general, as we discussed this on Thursday night. And we certainly will continue to prepare that letter and send it on to Borough and Council as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you very much.
Okay, Alexander Pineda on Lincoln Avenue, you're next.
Hi, nice to meet you. I just got a couple of questions. Ever since our walkway was updated and upgraded and we got new pavement and all, I've seen more and more cars driving through our street. I moved here recently, about a year or so ago, and it's always been a peaceful neighborhood. And ever since we got our street, rebuilt or repaved, more and more cars tend to drive by at an excessive speed. There's no speed limits signs on our street. And I believe that one of the concerns of my neighbors, as well as mine, obviously, is that we have kids in the neighborhood. We have a lot of kids that go on their bikes, you name it, and as well as seniors, and I'm extremely concerned about that matter because I believe it is a safety issue and our street is not being respected. The speed limit is not being respected. It should be anywhere from 10 to 15, at tops 25 miles per hour. And I've seen cars driving by 45, 50, 60 miles per hour, just flying by in this. And this is a small street, it's a small street, and just there's no respect for anybody. Cars parked absolutely everywhere. Signs saying they do no park on places that we are not able to park at all, simply because I don't understand why, to be honest with you. But my question here is, can we please address this matter before anybody gets hurt? With some speed bumps would be great. It'll slow down the traffic greatly before somebody gets hurt. That is just my main interest right now.
Thank you
very much,
Alexander.
Dr.
Thank you for your time.
Next up, we have Caroline Muhindi at 111 Morrison.
So I was in agreement of, the exit in the back on Railroad Avenue, only because it was presented that it would be for police use only. This whole trucks and, additional traffic two-way street is news to me. And I don't see how that can be. It's a very tight road as is. We have a lot of kids who walk around that pathway. We have a lot of cyclists who go through there. So I don't see the sense of making this a main road. It's horrendous as is today, where we have cars speeding by aimlessly at all hours. But the other thing is, when the presentation was being made, there was a talk of space being taken from 2 properties. I couldn't see the cursor. I don't know if that presentation will be shared online, so we can go in and see which properties you're trying to take space from. But it's just looking at the exit of where you're planning, it's directly behind my driveway. And it's a very small and narrow roadway as is. So I don't see how you can have trucks coming in and out in addition to other traffic. If it's just for cops to use as emergencies in and out of the station, fine. But as a road with trucks and deliveries, I don't see how that is fair to us who live back here. That's it.
Thank you. Our next speaker, our next comment is from Alicia Morris on Morrison Avenue.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Sorry, I'm nervous. I just wanted to echo the other residents that have spoken before me. I'm mortified at the idea of any traffic, let alone box trucks, deliveries, garbage, trucks going down a very small and well-loved greenway where at any time of day, you will see children, cyclists, you name it. Myself, my husband, our dog frequent multiple times a day. I don't think there's a great understanding of how residential this area is and how headlights, noise, all of this is going to affect the happy residents of this area. It's going to change the dynamic. It's going to change our town. You are removing more open space that the residents love. I also wanted to talk about a possibility about redirecting any traffic with the YMCA. Why can't it go around to 33 or Mercer? Why does it have to come in this little area with a greenway and people's properties and their driveways? That's all. I'm sorry. I'm just very disappointed.
Thank you, Alicia. Next up is Stephanie Spann at 115 Morrison Avenue.
Hi there, Council. This is Stephanie Spann. I'm also a member of the Parks and Rec Commission, and I'd just like to reiterate everything that everybody above has said. I think it's a terrible idea to put a roadway back there that's going to be used by trucks, delivery, boxcar, whatever. And there's a park literally right there. Tons of little kids are there. There's people on bikes, people with their pets. And it's really, I think it's going to be dangerous. And I'm really concerned for the safety of my residents. That's all.
Thank you. Next up is Jan Guthrie, 425 Stockton.
Gotta unmute yourself.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we could hear you now.
I live at 425 Stockton, which is 4 houses past the Walter C. Black School. and many students walk past my house to go to school, but we were not in the Safe Route to School grant. There wasn't enough money. It ran out. I guess you didn't ask for enough, but I see all these other grants they're talking about tonight. We're improving sidewalks and curbs all over town, but not us, not us. So when you drive into town, you see this, no curbs, no sidewalks, and then you see Stockton Street that has all the new sidewalks and curbs, and we get nothing, nothing. I drive by there and I don't know if I should be just disgusted with everything or if I should just cry, because ours looks so bad. I can't even put my garbage out in front of my house because it'll go into the street because there's no curb. So I have to go to a neighbor to drop off my garbage. That's how great this is. And you didn't think of us then, and you're neglecting us again. You got all these other ones you're going forward with. Was Stockton Street mentioned in there? Not at all. I don't know how you can treat us like this. Why do you neglect us? We're such nice people. We're hardworking people. There's a lot of traffic, pedestrian, kids, no sidewalks or curbs. Just starting at the school. Did you know we pay our taxes to Hightstown? We should have been included. I'm sorry.
Right. Thank you, Jan.
Next we have, let's see.
Nothing will be done.
We have Joe Posk at 118 Day Street. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last name.
It's all right. Yes, it's Ash. And I just want to add, my wife and I are very unhappy hearing about this. We really like the area the way it is. We think Railroad Ave looks great the way it does. And adding all this extra traffic, to me, for the town hall, looks at in the spot where it is perfect. Leave it over there on that side of town. The YMCA could be sold to someone else. Let's leave this little area the way it is. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Okay, Larry, there aren't any other questions listed in the chat. So unless anyone else has a question or a comment, we can close public comment. Oh, wait, I see, wait. I see Jean. Sorry, Jean.
I fell asleep. My name is Gene Servant, 628 South Main Street. Very interesting listening to all the comments. It's so wonderful what people don't want something in their backyard. I really love that. Don't put anything in my backyard. I want this the way it was before. Well, they ought to think about what goes on in the town and what we need to provide services and how we have to give a little to get something. You know, this whole nonsense of our public comments of saying, oh, it's so bad to have this in my backyard. Yeah, it is bad. We all know that it's bad, but a lot of things are bad for improvements. We have to adapt. We have to figure out how to solve the problem and not just complain. Now that you've all made your complaints, now the council will figure out how to resolve the problem, which I don't think can be resolved. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
Larry, we have one more. Stacy, you can make another comment if you'd like.
Thank you. You know, I did just want to make the comment that I do have a lot of concerns about this area down there because it seems that the residents of the area itself were not properly notified in the way that they should have been. Things were presented very differently. Some residents were told that it was just a paving grant for Dye Street. And quite frankly, there would be no reason to even pave Railroad unless it was originally part of the plan to put in that access road. Not just that, oh, we can put in an access road now because we were going to improve Railroad anyway. Railroad has been a paper road as long as I have lived here and before that. And, you know, when you pave a road like that, even if it's a one-way street, it is going to increase the amount of traffic. It's bad enough that we have people driving at high rates of speed down that road and around that corner from Center Street up Dye to Mercer as it is. I've had to jump out of the way with my dog, that people coming around that corner. It's only going to increase the traffic and it's very hazardous. The other thing I do want to point out is that you can put in all the safety things that you want and make it a four-way stop sign and a four-way crosswalk. But just this weekend, someone drove through the four-way stop sign at the corner of Morrison and Summit Street and ran into the house on the corner up over the sidewalk. So quite frankly, I think we need to do, maybe there needs to be speed bumps more across town, as someone else mentioned, but the rate of speed, the way people drive through the stop signs, the East Windsor Police Department very frequently fills up with gas on Mercer Street at the station, depot station for the gas, comes up to the corner of Morrison Avenue and will go right through the stop sign. I was in the crosswalk with my dog and a police officer kept going. And when I turned and looked at him and he rolled his window down and told me I could walk behind him. So I'm just so upset about this. And this is for me as a citizen. I spoke my piece for Parks and Rec earlier, and we'll do a more formal letter, but I just want everybody to take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Christina, what do we got? You muted yourself.
Darn it, I fell into that trap. I see two hands raised, Lefty and someone with the name letter R. Lefty, would you like to go first? Is this a...
No, it's only about the work being done on Dye Street.
I'm sorry. Before you can speak, I need your name and address.
Thank you. Okay, Larry. I think we can.
All right, I'm closing all comments on engineering items. And next on the agenda, believe it or not, is public comment. Any person wishing to address the mayor and council with his or her comments will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes, his or her time. Come forward, and once again, Christina will handle the order it'll be in.
Sure. Again, if you just write your name and your address in the chat box, I will call on you as received in the chat box.
I'm sorry, Facebook. I had my
Does
mic
everyone
off.
see the chat box?
No. Where is the chat box?
My microphone was off again. I
It's
just have
on
to
the
leave my
bottom
mic
of the
on.
screen. Gene,
Terrible.
would you like to comment?
I just spoke on wheelchair access.
Yeah, but I don't see a chat box on my iPad. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, you may go ahead. Just state your name and your address, and I'll wait for the next one.
Name is Eugene Serafin, 628 South Main Street. I think this is going to be a long meeting. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Gene. Okay, I see raised hands. I'll go with the letter R. If you can state your name and your address, please.
Yes, hello, my name is Marina Redman,
Is this a good time to talk about the ordinance on your medical marijuana?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it isn't.
No,
have
it's not.
a hearing.
That'll be during the ordinance.
This is the mayor called two separate public comment periods. The first one, he called for the engineering items. This is the open public comment period. There will be a public hearing for the ordinance coming up.
Anybody that wants to talk about marijuana, it'll be the next ordinance coming up.
Okay, can I also discuss about your accessibility for the sidewalks?
Yes.
Okay, I think it's wonderful being disabled. I'm a BKA, which stands for below the knee amputee. I think it's wonderful where sometimes it's really hard to get, up and down, especially I was going through cancer treatment, and even that one little step would have been torture going through chemo. I also invite you to watch a wonderful movie. It's on Netflix, and I still believe it's on YouTube. It's called Crip Camp. It's about the disabled movement. It's a wonderful movie, and it's free on YouTube, and how the disabled are really the last, how it's horrible for us, how we don't get anything. We're always put last, and please watch it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Larry, I don't see any other questions.
Nobody else is putting their hand up?
Not.
Jan?
Oh, wait.
Jan Guthrie? I see Jan Guthrie raised her hand.
I see.
You're on mute. I got on mute.
Unmute.
Okay, got it. You got it?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, Jan.
I'm a little calmer, but I have to tell you, I am very upset about Stockton Street not getting their sidewalks and curbs. I pay a lot in taxes. You can check my bills. We all do on this, especially
I know,
on this
Seth.
street.
I screwed up.
And it's just so
I screwed up, Seth. I turned my volume off so I can hear the council meeting better, and I screwed up. Blame the sound guy. I just got to leave my sound up. I'm afraid you're going to hear me fart or burp or something embarrassing, but you'll have to deal with that. That's on you. So if I have to fart or burp, I'm letting it fly.
I don't know what to do. I don't know who to call. If there's anything we can do, you got 500 grants that you're talking about here tonight. Not one of them said Stockton Street again. So can we pay less taxes because we don't get the services we want? Thank you. Goodbye.
Anybody else, Christina?
No, I don't see anyone else for this subject matter.
I'm closing public comment. Going to move on with the agenda. We have ordinance in front of us. 2021-06, final reading and public hearing. An ordinance prohibiting the operation of any class of cannabis business within the geographical boundaries of the borough of Hightstown in Mercer County, New Jersey, and amending and supplementing Chapter 28 entitled Zoning of the revised general ordinance of the borough in order to establish a new section, therefore, to be known as Section 28-12 entitled Cannabis. Looking for a motion to move that?
Mayor, you need to open the public hearing.
Excuse me, who's moving that?
No, it's Fred Raffetto, Mayor. The public hearing needs to be opened.
We'll open up the public hearing now. Anybody from the public would like to speak, come forward. Raise your hand.
Okay, we have Hugh Giordano, 57, Argyle, Blackwood, New Jersey. Hugh, before you begin, anyone who would like to make a comment, make sure you write your name and your address in the chat box. Hugh, you may begin.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent, thank you so much. My name is Hugh Giordano, and I'm a union representative for the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, UFCW Local 152. The UFCW is a national labor union of 1.3 million hardworking families, and we are the official labor union under the guise of the AFL-CIO, which represents medical and adult use cannabis workers. Also, we are working with the New Jersey building trades in the retrofit and build out of these facilities as well. So from shovel to sale under NJ law, these jobs are going to be unionized jobs, which means good wages, benefits, sick time, vacation time, paternity leave, and of course, retirement. These jobs will attract hardworking families too. Most of these folks who work in this industry have degrees in botany, chemistry, horticulture. In fact, in the current medical dispensaries, you have pharmacists working in the dispensaries. So these are long-term careers which will attract a good, young, educated base, which is good for the economy. I would also like to say that I know that the New Jersey League of Municipalities is pushing this agenda.
You have not entered any numbers. Please re-enter the meeting pass.
Sorry, I don't know who that was. Sorry about that. I know the NJ League of Municipalities is pushing this agenda across the state to ban, and it's a shame because the city of Bayonne took the time, and that's what I would suggest you look at. The city of Bayonne took the time and passed an ordinance about 5 weeks ago, which lays out a permit process, an application renewal process, how much it costs for those fees. It also lays out what they wanted. It's very conservative. For such a big city, they're only allowing 3 facilities in the city. So it's very conservative. You can change it any way you want to what you want and what you don't want, whether it's a retail or a laboratory or an extraction lab or manufacturing. There's different ways of doing it. And they did it. And they also have a merit-based system. On pages 10, 11, and 12 is a merit-based system, which looks at environmental standards, labor standards, community standards, security standards, and those things matter. So I would ask you, please drop this ordinance, look at the Bayonne ordinance, and also I would like to offer mayor and the council a tour of the Garden State Dispensary, which is the official, which was one of the first 6 under the Chris Christie administration to be opened. It's all medical, seed to sale, so you can see everything. And it was the first to go union in the state. So they've been active and they're very transparent. I've taken many mayors and councils through so they can see it for themselves. I would suggest that you do that. The league is just pushing an agenda. So I would hope that you consider this, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Hugh. Next up is Jeff King, 24 Elizabeth Parkway, Eatontown.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. My name is Jeffrey King. I'm at 24 Elizabeth Parkway. And I would also like to urge you to please consider an approach that is, first of all, I'd really like to emphasize the medical opportunity, and that you can be compassionate and support veterans and kids with epilepsy and cancer and a whole gamut of people that might be suffering and sick and in pain. Medical is the first thing we can do for people who are the most vulnerable. And I'm sure there's room for a medical dispensary, without a doubt. I think there's room for all the different types of licenses, and as good as the Bayonne ordinance is, Plainfield has tailored their ordinance to fill in some areas that need redevelopment, some buildings that were empty. So I don't know if you have any of those in your municipality, but that's something you might want to consider if there's any landlords or property owners that are looking for that opportunity. You wouldn't want to throw that baby out with the bathwater. It's really kind of competitive to get these licenses, and if they don't see that it's an opportunity that's welcoming, they're not going to come. So you won't really have to hammer this ban home. Once they know the welcome mat's not there, then that's a missed opportunity. As Mr. Giordano said, there's a lot at stake. These jobs are very well skilled and well paying. These universities now are offering a major and scholarships all over the country and locally in New Jersey as well. So I would want to invite that to my community if I had the power, and I urge you to consider that. Consider that the AARP is in favor of medical cannabis. So is the American Legion, a veterans organization that has a lot of people counting on them. So if you can see your way to at least providing the medical opportunities for patients and for these operations to be locally run, ethical, and the way you want it. You should drive this to be your community resource and think of it as an opportunity and an asset. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate the consideration.
Thank you, Jeff. Next on the list is Alexander Pineda, Lincoln Avenue. Alexander.
I'm sorry, I forgot I was muted. I apologize. Just a couple of quick questions here. Why don't we start something called Ask Public Opinion and ask absolutely everybody? Send a bulletin out there and start asking everybody, what is your opinion in this? You who've been living here for decades, you who just started living here, what is your opinion on this? Instead of just taking, the matter in your own hands and thinking that this is what's best for absolutely everybody who has lived here and is coming to live in this beautiful town. Now, has any of you used the cannabis for any purpose? And has any of you even thought of the fact that you can put cannabis, any of the users of the cannabis, against any of the drug abusers, alcohol users? And I can tell you that cannabis will produce absolutely a lot of jobs, therefore more taxes, and it's a lot better for the town. You will have a lot more money to work with. Maybe even taxes will come down, on the owners of these properties, because you will create a lot more jobs. Look at Colorado. Look at all the towns that are already 10 steps ahead of us, providing with licenses, with open doors for dispensaries, and they're creating jobs already, hundreds of jobs already. So my question here is, why are we sending all of these people who live in this town to those other towns to buy whatever they need from these dispensaries when you can have these dispensaries here and keep the money here in town? It's just a matter of keeping the money in our town to keep this town as beautiful as it is. It'll be a lot easier. It's not hard to control it. It really isn't. I get it. You're thinking and considering the traffic and this and that, but you cannot just look at all the negative impacts of all of this. Somebody previous to me said that, you got to take into consideration all the people who are looking to use this cannabis opportunity for health benefits. I used to drink lots and lots of medication to be able to sleep. Nothing really helped me. Then I went and got my license for use of medical marijuana, and I started using it. And guess what? I stopped taking all over the counter medication, and now that I use medical marijuana, I use it once a week, and I'm able to sleep without taking over the counter medication or prescribed medication. It is a lot cheaper, and it's controlled. So I really don't understand why are you guys fighting so badly against something that is beneficial for a lot of people, and it will bring a lot of income to the town, and it will stay here and even bring more people from other towns or passing buyers with licenses. Again, this is a controlled substance that is now legalized, nationwide. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Alexander. Next is Storm Lewis at 14 Elmwood Road. Storm, can you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I could hear you now.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. My name is Storm Lewis at 14 Elwood Road. I thank everyone for coming here, everyone coming to support, everyone on council, everyone coming to listen. I'm a business owner here in town. I always, just in case anyone doesn't know, We are on Mercer Street. The store name is Elements. We are, a very friendly store. Please come say hi. But I'm here to also support, what everyone's saying. There's a lot of things to, like I said, I don't really need to repeat too much, but as someone looking to invest in this, in town, it's something, I would like to, promote a comprehensive approach, comprehensive steps so that we could all, just answer everyone's questions. If you have a concern, it should be laid out again comprehensively. I think it's important to promote, again, just an open ear and a respectful ear, truth be told. So I guess as far as the ordinance goes for today, I hope we can again talk about it at a later date. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Storm. Next is Jeff Trapp at 115 South Street.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
We can hear you fine.
Excellent. So my wife and I, we live on South Street with our 2 children, and we were both talking, and we're strong proponents of considering this ordinance because we really think that it has the potential to bring business into the town and help bolster existing businesses, especially because we have so many small businesses. I know that there's the gaming shop that just opened, and there's the coffee shop that just opened, and now there's a new ice cream shop. I feel like having a new business in town, something that is unique to us, something that's new and exciting, has a lot of potential to bring people who wouldn't normally be in Hightstown into our community. And I think we have a wonderful community here. So I'm not going to say a whole lot, except that I really think it'd be a shame to pass on this opportunity. I do think that licenses could become hard to get, and I really would like to see Hightstown be in the forefront of this potential new movement, especially because of what it could do for our small businesses in town. And as someone with 2 small children myself, my wife and I are not concerned about any sort of bad element or something that people might be afraid of coming into town. I don't think that's something we need to be concerned about anymore. I think we'll find that the people that will be coming to town will be responsible.
Session to allow one person to speak. There's a person in attendance goes by the screen name of Lefty Grimes. I see that person raised their hand almost simultaneously as we were making the motion, so I prefer to defer on the side of permitting a public motion to reopen. Speak. Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Aye. Yes. All in favor? Aye. 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 Any opposed? Hearing none. All right. Why don't we allow Mr. and Mrs. Grimes to speak?
Mr. Grimes, you now have the ability to speak. Just unmute yourself. Give your full name and address, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. This is Edward Lefty Grimes. I'm with sativacross.org. We're a 501c3 here in New Jersey advocating for disabled rights and cannabis patients' rights. And I'm at 84 Hanover Road, East Hanover. My question is, you have a smoking ordinance that I understand it's consistent with CUMA. You don't want people, medical patients have to follow CUMA. What medical patients have to follow is we can't smoke on beaches, we can't smoke in recreational areas, schools, that sort of thing. And this ordinance is basically in tune with that, except that you have any forms of consumption. That's where the patients are affected by that. Because what happens is now you have somebody sitting in court for hours, and the person next to them can take an OxyContin or an aspirin or whatever with no problem, but the person using a cannabis tincture or lotion or an edible is going to be sanctioned for what? Is that the case, or is that am I reading this wrong? Or is that something that's been dealt with or talked about?
At this point, sir, it's your you get to speak and address the council, and then
okay.
At the end, after you're done, if the council members wish to respond to you, they may do so, but they're under no obligation.
Okay. Yeah, the problem I have is if it affects patients. If you're going to make somebody with cancer have to leave the building and go to some border, arbitrary border somewhere, because using a cannabis tincture is going to offend somebody. It's not. Cannabis tincture is not going to offend anybody. An edible is not going to hurt anybody. I can understand the smoking ordinance, of course, but why are we treating cannabis patients differently than we would somebody who's taking OxyContin, who's eating a pill in the courtroom? Because that's certainly not going to be sanctioned, eating an OxyContin, but you're going to sanction the cannabis patient. That's my question. That's pretty much my only question. Please keep patients in mind and keep people in wheelchairs in mind when you make any kind of ordinance. People in wheelchairs suffer enough as it is. We're medical cannabis patients. We suffer enough as it is. We're getting taxed by the state. We're getting taxed by towns. We're getting moldy medicine from corporate cannabis. So we need your help. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
A motion to close the second version of public input.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. I just wanted to say, in regards to Mr. Grimes' comment, that this governing body has not passed any ordinances or that would at all impact the ability of someone to use marijuana in compliance with state laws. So, Mary, you want to say anything else?
No, I think that's, Mr. Grimes raises a point. I mean, certainly there was not a specific discussion I'm aware of with regard to intentionally or unintentionally trying to address that issue. And I'll simply ask legal counsel to, review that. We've typically had indicated that is as a general policy matter, where the ordinances that we passed were targeted and are targeted on regard to the expansion of recreational marijuana and the concerns that we all kind of expressed ad nauseum about that issue, but that we were not taking steps with regard to medical. So I'll ask Mr. Corsini to review the ordinance and the concerns raised, and to the extent that there's he can give us his opinion at some point with regard to whether or not whether the situation Mr. Grimes mentions could be covered, and if so, the council can make a policy decision about how to handle it in compliance with the state law.
Yeah, and except for the use of marijuana in public areas, we really didn't touch on any use issues at all, except for the public areas, as we deal with cigarette smoking in public parks, for example. Anybody else have any comments?
Okay, I was having problems.
All right, hearing none, we will move on to item number.
All right, we'll leave that meeting. We'll jump back to.
Thank you, Marina. Next up is Jessica Nichols, 115
raise my hand again.
South 14th Avenue, Manville.
Correct. Thank you.
Back in the meeting.
So just so you're aware, Hightstown voted 71.83% in favor of marijuana legalization in November. And as a county, Mercer voted 71.25% in favor of marijuana legalization. Something that I like to ask in these town council meetings is if the council has done their research into this subject itself. Have they done any studies or research or anything pertaining to marijuana businesses, the licensing, the process itself, how it can help your community to grow, how it can enhance your town, anything to that effect?
Ms. Nichols, we don't respond in comment.
Okay. That's fine. I get that. So if that has not been done, I urge you to do so, because you will find that there are many benefits that would apply to your town if you welcome any one of the 6 licensed types of cannabis businesses into your community. Cannabis businesses are encouraged to enhance the town in which they join through many different ways, but the League of Municipalities are really kind of developing the template for towns to opt out before they really have the chance to get to know what's going on. So you have until August 21st to do your research, to delve into this and find out really where you fit into this puzzle. And I really urge you to do that. Take your time. You don't have to make a decision now or next month. You have until August 21st. Looking at your voting history at 71.83%, your town is speaking to you. And I think it was, I'm sorry, one of the other speakers, Alexander, maybe even suggested putting it out to your township to talk to you, ask them their opinions, see how they feel, and bring this in and talk about this together more. I mean, you need their opinions. And just so you know, a study was done in Colorado to find that Colorado towns that had a dispensary or other type of marijuana cannabis business in their towns, they actually had a drop in crime rates. So everyone assumes that this is a bad thing. It's not. Drop in crime rates, enhancing your community. When you have a business in town, it will bring more foot traffic, which means these people are also visiting other businesses and spending more money in your town. So all of the things that you mentioned earlier during this meeting about needing money for repairs and other things, the up to 2% tax that you can impose on these cannabis businesses can go towards the things that you need. They go towards your ratables. So a lot of things that can happen if you opt in rather than opting out. And I just urge you to consider that. You have until August. Please take that time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. We are going to try one more time with Edward Grimes. Lefty?
Sorry, Council. I had some problems there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. My name is Edward Lefty Grimes. I'm with sativacross.org. We're a 501c3 in New Jersey advocating for disabled rights and for cannabis patients' rights. And I'd like you to consider what it's like to be in a wheelchair, because I've gone to a lot of council meetings, and that's one question I ask, and I'll just start off with that, to consider what it's like to be in a wheelchair and spend a day in a wheelchair, and I'll even do it with you. It's not fun. It's not anywhere. There's nothing accessible, and we need your help. Our patients group is hurting. 1 out of 10 of us die every year, first of all. When we get our medicine at the dispensary, first of all, if you're in a wheelchair, you're in the back of the line. The last are last in New Jersey. And when you get to the front of that line, the strains that you need are gone, the amounts that you need are gone. And now we're getting moldy cannabis from corporate cannabis. These corporate guys are coming in here, taking over, and these billionaires are making money off the backs of sick and dying people. The state's taxing us 7%. The towns are taxing us 2%. They're giving us a 2% tax on wheelchairs. I call it a cancer tax, a multiple sclerosis tax. But these towns that are taxing the wheelchairs, they're not giving us wheelchair access. We get no representation for that taxation. There's no wheelchair access in many of these towns. And that's what we advocate for wheelchair access, because one step that may be insignificant to you guys, it's a wall to someone in a wheelchair. The things that people in wheelchairs have to go through is terrible. I have an electric wheelchair that I use when I need it. And something as simple as a curb cutout really will change my life from driving out in the middle of the street. But just rolling yourself through the sidewalk, the things you're going to pick up on your wheels are things you're going to pick up on your hands. So imagine the stuff that's on the ground that you're getting on your hands. One day my friend was bleeding on his hands. I said, "What happened?" He's like, "I ran over some glass." I didn't even know that was an issue, but yeah, glass. So yeah, he was all bloody from just running over some glass. And, you know, we got to do better when we think of people in wheelchairs, people that are suffering. I mean, maybe you know somebody who's in a wheelchair. And if you're banning medicine in your town for people like, disabled war vets and people with cancer, you're asking them to do a lot. These people are sick. And you're asking them for more than the normal person to do, to go out of your town, to go further than your pharmacies are, go further and get their medicine that's locked out of your town. It's God's medicine, but we have no problem selling synthetic man-made cannabis in the drugstores. Marinol and Dronabinol are man-made cannabis. We have no stigma against that. But God's medicine, we stigmatize. I don't understand how we can hurt the sick and the dying the way we do in New Jersey. And we need to be more aware of this. Here, let me read something for you. This is Genesis 1:29. Then God said, "Here I have given you every dangerous pharmaceutical pill that is on the entire..." Oh, no, God didn't say that. God says, "Here I have given you every seed-bearing plant that is on the entire earth, and every tree and seed-bearing fruit. Let them serve as food for you. I have given all green vegetation for food." Cannabis has saved my life. I was on OxyContin for 10 years. They were trying to kill me on these drugs. I have back pain. I have an artificial disc. I have a fusion. I have a 2-level cervical. I don't know if you can see this, but I got a 2-level cervical here. And man, I'm in pain every day. I'm in 7 and 8 all day long. My job when I wake up in the morning is to shave pain points. I go in the shower and I do shower yoga with the warm water on my back, and I do shower yoga. My arms and my knees on the ground. This is what I have to do. No, I don't want to take pills, so I do everything natural to heal my pain. I go acupuncture, cupping, massage, laser, cryo, all that stuff. And it's very helpful to me. So please don't deny the people in your community. The people in your community voted to get stoned. They voted for recreational, and we're not even talking about that. I just want to help the sick and the dying people that need it. The people that get stoned, they're going to get it, but they're going to be in the front of the line. We need to put the last first. The last are last. We got to put them first. So please consider the sick and the dying. Let me end with this. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. Next up is Joanna Jackson, 149 North Academy Street. And then Jean, you'll be next.
Sorry, unmuting.
Okay.
How are you, everybody? It's Joanna Jackson. I really wanted to kind of, I guess, piggyback on some other things that I've heard tonight. And being from Hightstown for pretty much my entire life, says one, I know that this is an amazing town, but I do know that we need our businesses to grow here. We have a progressive town. We have potential in this town, and we can make this town grow. I understand that there's concerns, and it is scary in a way to, opt in to this legislation that we'll be stuck in for 5 years. However, when looking through the legislation and the uncertainty within it, a lot of that really will get more conservative as we go. Basically, opting out at this time, I truly believe in my heart, will hurt our town. We have a chance to be up and coming. We can be on the forefront of business right now. We can make our town grow into something that I think all of our generation wants it to be. We can have a town with, a beautiful dispensary, a cupcake shop, a nice little shops all around down the street. And, this is the way to do it. We enhance our business, we support each other, we support our local businesses, and we move forward from here. And I think it's a shame if we do opt out. I just think it sends this message that we're going to be stuck back in time again, having to go through all of the red tape in order to make this happen again. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Jean, you're next.
Hi, Gene Servant, 628 South Main Street. It's interesting from reading the ordinance and listening to discussion for the last few months, how it's been so misinterpreted. The ordinance basically says we cannot get enough information together before August 21st to make a rational and wise decision, what the impact is, what the costs are. And basically the mayor and council have decided to opt out and then can get back in again once they have their study done. Once they do, as the lady said, we should study it, but we don't need to do it within the next 2 months, which just can't be done. We can take our time, opt out now, and come back in September or October when we have a better idea of what, where, how, what the costs are, what the impact is in the town, and what the planning board has to say. I think I have no problem with people supporting the drug marijuana. In fact, we all voted for marijuana or cannabis because we were tired of imprisoning people for possession of a stupid, a small amount of of cannabis. So we didn't vote for the thing to put dispensaries in our town. We voted to allow people not to be put in jail. The state then came up with the idea of dispensaries in the various towns, and we have a decision to make. Should we do it now and not opt out in the next 5 years, have people come and have no idea what we need to do? Or we should opt now, understand what we need to do, and then get back in. So I wish the council would just continue and opt out and do the study, and then we can come back in if we want to sell cannabis in our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Beth Watkins, 314 Lincoln Avenue.
Hi, good evening, council. So I've heard a lot of concerns that we're a small town and that this would take a lot of work to do the research, but isn't that why we have positions on council and planning board to do that work? I feel like we owe it to the public to do the research before we opt out. The Hightstown public voted overwhelmingly, 72%, as you know, for the passage of recreational cannabis. I feel like we should listen to our voters, do our due diligence before we opt out. It sounds to me that council wants to opt out based on not having enough information. We now have a decade's worth of research going back to the first state that passed recreational marijuana, going back to Colorado 10 years ago. There is a lot of research done for us already. Why wouldn't the town wait until August 20th, we have until the 21st, to make a decision? The article that came out after the last council meeting was pretty detrimental, in my opinion, as the headline stated, Hightstown to ban sale, cultivation, distribution of cannabis. That was the headline. You read that, you're not going on to read the rest of the article about the discussions that were had. You're reading that and you're seeing that Hightstown banned the sale, cultivation, distribution of cannabis. To me, this is a missed opportunity to businesses that need to be making plans right now. The businesses need to make plans before all the towns make their final decisions. It's incredibly time consuming and costly to businesses to apply for a license. So they're not going to waste their time researching a town that's already said no. That's what I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Next up is Stephanie Spann, 115 Morrison Avenue.
Hi, guys. I just wanted to read something from the Hightstown Borough Master Plan. This is under the amendment for one of the visions for downtown. The policy regarding downtown has been that businesses in general hold the key to economic vitality in Hightstown. The planning board now believes this policy is insufficient. The Hightstown community alone cannot support the business district. Instead, the borough should work to attract people from outside the community into the downtown. Hightstown must become a destination, a place that visitors come to because it is a great place to spend the day, evening, or a weekend. The uses in downtown should complement this objective: eateries, specialty retail, and uses that generate nightlife. The borough should plan for and help coordinate community activities to draw people to the area. And it goes on. Wouldn't that be accomplished by allowing cannabis to have businesses in the town? Wouldn't it be something that we could use that could supplement, could be used by our eateries, by our new brewery, by just having it as something that we could provide to the community. It's obviously wanted. The voters have said that they want it. It doesn't make sense for us to just opt out. I feel that if you opt out, it's going to be very difficult to opt back in. I could see that causing many problems. And I really think that we should think about this before we opt out. I don't think we should opt out right away. I think we're going to lose potential businesses, potential revenue. And it's at this point in time, it doesn't make sense to just opt out. The research is out there. The state documentation has been out there since November, stating that there's going to be many different regulations for zoning and all that. So I don't really understand why you would hastily choose to opt out. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. I don't see any other names, but I do see that Jeff You have your hand raised. Do you have another question, Jeff Trapp? Or is that from before?
Sorry, it was from before.
Okay, no problem. Okay, Larry, there aren't any other hands raised or, oh wait, there's one more. Jessica Nickel?
I did speak earlier. It's 115 South 14th Avenue, Manville, New Jersey. I did want to just give a little more clarification that if you do opt in and Hightstown is selected by a cannabis business, the CRC has to notify you, the town, within 14 days of receiving an application that designates Hightstown. And then you have a set period of time to review the application and decide if that business fits within your township and zoning and guidelines. So even though you're opting in, you do still have opportunities along the timeline to make sure that it's a good fit for you. So don't fear that opting in is the end of it and that you have to welcome every and all business that applies for an application. You can decide to opt in for one type of business application, business license, or all of them, but you do have options. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. I see we have one more hand. Terry P., please unmute yourself and state your name and address.
Hi, I'm Terry Parliaris, 2 Spruce Court. Being a former business owner in Hightstown, I really think this would be a detriment to, as Hightstown to be able to grow. For not having much ratables, to work off of in this town, I think we'd be making a huge mistake of not, at least learning or doing the research and finding out what's going on. The last council meeting, I heard about traffic and I heard about guidelines and I heard about, oh, can they stay open 24 hours? Well, why couldn't we be smart enough to make those guidelines? Why can't we just say the hours of operation are this and this? Why can't we bid it out to whichever company and look at their background and look how they operate in the towns and see what they do? I just hear a lot of, oh, we can't do this. We don't have enough time for this, or but I think the research is out there as people have been stating. And, I just think we can utilize it in the sense that, okay, another guideline is keep it from the downtown if you don't want it downtown. Put it on the outskirts of town. There's enough places around here that we can utilize that. You can go to Empire Antiques, perfect spot right around there, or something else in the outskirts of town. But to sit there and tell me, oh, traffic, come on, traffic's going to come through either way. If it's in Allentown, if it's in Cranberry, if it's wherever, traffic's still going to come through our town and pass right through and go to the next town over and do their business and stop at their cupcake shop and stop at their pizza shop and then go home. And they're going to come right through Hightstown, jump on the turnpike and go home. So I think it's a win-win for our town. I think if we just set up the guidelines how we wish to set them up and, bid it out how we're supposed to bid, or, have it bid out if there's whatever the state allocates or whatever, the rules we could do. But just to shut it down without, having the research out there and just shutting it down, I don't think would be a wise idea. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, Larry, I think that's all.
All right, I'm closing the public comment and public hearing on ordinance 2021-06. Looking for somebody to move it.
I'll move it, Steve Missouri.
I'll second it.
Moved by Mr. Councilman Missouri. I'm looking for a second.
I'll second it.
And seconded by Dimitri Musi. Is there any further discussion at the council level?
Yeah, Mayor, this is Josh.
Yes, go ahead, Josh.
I'd like to read a statement if I could, Mayor. It'll only take a minute or two.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I just want to be clear that this is my opinion and not a report from the Cannabis Subcommittee. In a few minutes, we will vote on an ordinance to prohibit cannabis businesses in Hightstown. It is no secret that I am in favor of allowing cannabis businesses to operate in the borough. This measure was approved by over 70% of voters. When talking to people in town, I hear nothing but support for allowing these businesses in town. With this much public support, it's difficult to see this as anything other than a mandate from the voters. It's easy to see that the voters want this. I agree that there are many unanswered questions about how these businesses will operate, but I still see very few, if any, negatives with allowing them to open. I view this through an economic lens. We will collect 2% tax on each sale of cannabis. This may not sound like much, but over time, the potential to increase revenue for the borough is there. As we speak, there are people who are ready to open cannabis businesses in the borough. No matter what decision we make tonight, cannabis delivery will be available in Hightstown. Allowing for the sale of cannabis in the borough will keep that tax revenue in the town. I see cannabis and alcohol in the same light, except for the fact that alcohol is far more dangerous than cannabis. I imagine cannabis will come to be regulated in much the same way alcohol is regulated. The brewery was opened with little to no opposition and has become one of the most successful businesses in the borough. We can and should use this opportunity to do the same thing for cannabis. I think it's hypocritical to use alcohol and at the same time be opposed to cannabis use. The idea that allowing cannabis sales in Hightstown will attract an unsavory client base is ridiculous. The people using cannabis are already here in the borough. They are your neighbors and in some cases your family and friends. The state will only allow for a certain number of licenses to be issued. If we drag our feet, we will miss this opportunity. This will probably be one of the most consequential votes this council makes. I don't want to be on the wrong side of that vote. I think this is a good thing for Hightstown. That's why I will be voting against this ordinance tonight.
Thank you, Josh. Does anybody else have any comments before the vote?
You only need one council person.
Mayor,
to table it,
I
right?
have some comments.
You can table it. You need
Thank you everybody
that.
for
Second table it.
providing your comments tonight. There were a lot of good points made. But I think as one of the people said, that a big point of this is being missed. And, it's not about being in favor of having cannabis in Hightstown in some form, whether it's retail or manufacture or processing, or whether we're against it. Right now, it's more a technical issue of getting this done. And I'd like to read part of a memo that was provided to the planning board by the planning board attorney that was advice to the planning board. And it's in the packet, but for the benefit of the public, and I'll just take snippets of it because it's pretty long, but basically it says here, that this ordinance is responsive to the time limitation to act that has been established by the cannabis laws. Municipalities have been afforded 180 days from enactment to take some action. The choices are: 1, to do nothing; 2, to enact enforcement and zoning regulations to allow it; or 3, to prohibit it. And then it goes on to say what the consequences of each of these actions are. Number 1, doing nothing. If Hightstown were to choose to take no action within the 180 days, the danger is that cannabis use would be permitted to locate within the borough without regulation, control, or oversight. The borough will not have the power to choose which licenses would be permitted or the appropriate locations, or to enact any rules regulating the uses. The legislature has said that operations engaged in the growing, manufacture, etc. of cannabis will become permitted uses in any industrial zone, and that retail cannabis will become conditional uses in any commercial/retail zone. However, one note about conditional uses: if a municipality does not adopt any regulations, conditions will not exist for regulating the cannabis retail sale use. Therefore, without conditions, the use will presumably be permitted. The cannabis law also states that once a municipality has effectively opted in due to its inaction, therefore it will not be permitted to prohibit any cannabis uses for a period of 5 years. And after 5 years, a municipality will only be permitted to prohibit new businesses from establishing, but will not be able to do anything about already established uses, even if they have proven to be problematic for the municipality. Clearly, this is the worst option, as it bars Hightstown from regulating all cannabis uses for 5 years and uses established during the 5 years forever. The other option is enacting regulations. Hightstown may choose to enact rules to regulate cannabis. And this is coming from me. A lot of the comments had to do with that. Why doesn't Hightstown enact the rules? And the memo goes on to say, such rules require zoning changes. In order for a zoning change to occur, Hightstown should perform a planning analysis and study determine the best zones for the use. Hightstown will also have to decide what type of licensed users to permit and what conditions or regulations to impose on the uses. Therefore, there will need to be a master plan amendment and a zoning ordinance amendment. This process will likely take longer than 180 days. The day by which municipalities must decide is August 21st, 2021. If Hightstown were to seek to enact regulations, it is now too late to begin the process. However, opting out for the time being will allow more time to study the issue properly, observe its implementation in other municipalities in the state, and learn from everyone else. And I've been on planning board, God, like close to 20 years, if not 20 years, and I know how long things take. Enacting regulations take actions by both the council and by the planning board. They involve public hearings. There has to be time between those public hearings. And I can guarantee you that this cannot happen, at least the way Hightstown operates. You know, maybe that's our own fault, but based on any kind of zoning change we've ever done, there's no way we would get this done by August 21st. So, you know, that going back to the memo, the third option, prohibiting or opting out within 180 days, which is what this ordinance proposes to do, says there is nothing, Hightstown has chosen to prohibit all classes of cannabis uses within the prescribed 180 days. There is nothing in the cannabis law as currently adopted that would stop the borough from opting back in at a later date. The borough does not need to wait 5 years to allow cannabis uses. The benefit of this approach is that it gives the borough more time to determine where to allow the uses and how to regulate them without the pressure of a deadline. It also allows the borough to observe the rollout of cannabis sales in other municipalities and the manner in which it proceeds. The cannabis law is new and its implementation is unknown. So that's enough of that memo, but you know, just from experience, Hightstown, you know, we really need to regulate where we want this to occur. You know, the where, the when, the times, the hours of operations, the permitted zones that it should be in. Hightstown is a small municipality. It's not like you have your industrial zone on one side of the town, your commercial strip along a highway, and then the residential is tucked in subdivisions completely separated. Our zones are all intermingled. So we have some zones that are essentially residential zones. We call them downtown gateway, where retail is permitted. So if you live along Franklin Street, parts of North Main, parts of Stockton, South Main, you're in these zones and cannabis would be allowed. Some people may be happy with that, others people may not be, but we should take time and make sure, like, you know, everybody's rights are respected and everybody has a say in the process. I understand Hightstown voted overwhelmingly in favor of the state referendum. And of course, we're going to take that into account. But again, we have to tailor this legislation to suit our town. And, you know, we can't be on somebody else's time clock. We have to be on our own. It's more important to get this done right than it is to get it done quickly. We have a committee working on this. One of the people on the committee just spoke, council member, who's clearly in favor of it. So I don't expect this committee to sit on its hands. So I would just urge my fellow council people to vote in favor of this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Well said. Any other council people want to say something?
Yeah, Mayor.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Dimitri, you can go.
No, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I'll be brief. I'll say what I said at the previous meeting when it was introduced. I would like to reassure anyone listening that, you know, your comments are heard. I think everyone here would like to see this in the borough. The problem is the process and the timing. And in order to get a full ordinance passed by that date, we have to act now. And then we have the capacity to change it
Here we can see
as early as next week.
to allow us to have these businesses. Right now, I want you guys to take a look at these people, and I want you guys to see.
Excuse me, this is council discussion.
Anybody else from council like to comment?
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I just wanted to finish my comment just to say that I planned originally to vote against this ordinance. And upon receiving all of the information that the subcommittee has processed, everything that they've provided us with so far, because there's a lot to be figured out yet, I'm convinced that this is the way to move forward to allow it eventually. If we do not, we are going to put ourselves in a vulnerable position and cause problems. This is the clear way forward, and I think the memo from the planning board attorney that Councilman Missouri was reading from is it's in the packet. If you can all take a look at it, it is really worth a second look if you don't understand why we're doing this the way that we are.
Dimitri, you'd like to say something?
Yeah, I would, Mayor. Thank you, Dimitri. Well, first of all, I would like to thank everybody for showing up. Obviously, it's an important issue to a lot of people. And the one thing that is frustrating as a council member, as an elected official, is that New Jersey, the governor, under his whatever he was thinking, put this on the ballot and decided to have this voted on, to legalize marijuana. And it didn't really go into very much beyond that. What does that mean to legalize marijuana? Decriminalize? Retail? I don't know. And unfortunately, the state of New Jersey is not giving us a lot of direction. We're supposed to decide as a municipality to opt in or opt out, which is also very unusual.
It's 6 months.
Usually a law is made and it's pushed down.
6 months.
The municipalities have no choice.
Sounds like failure of some leadership.
Yet
here.
for some reason,
6 months is not enough time.
when this comes up, the governor says, "Well, we'll put it on the referendum. It voted, it passed, but now, well, I'm reading into it. Maybe the state doesn't know what it wants to do with this. It's coming out with recommendations and guidelines the same day.
The voters voted on it, and
and it truly is. This ordinance is not saying Hightstown is not open to having retail marijuana or any other of the uses of marijuana. It's just saying right now, the state has put us in a predicament that
what predicament?
By opting in, by not doing anything, we're pretty much giving up our land use regulations.
What?
And
what?
You know, the planning board master plan was referenced. And I've also spent some time on a planning board, and my name is on the last re-examination in 2014. You know, and it does say exactly we want to bring businesses in. We want to make it a destination town. You know, but in 2014, I can tell you that cannabis was not on the radar. At least not retail. I think we had medical, but definitely not retail. So in that aspect, it is new. But I'm also, with two other members of council here, I'm on the subcommittee to look into this and to do the due diligence that I believe the town deserves. And to speak with the stakeholders who are part of this town and part of this community, because it's not just a local issue. You know, Hightstown is 1 square mile and it's surrounded by other municipalities.
Surrounded by potheads.
What we're doing also right now by voting on this ordinance, and I will be voting to opt out. Once again, doesn't mean we don't look at it and we won't continue studying it.
It means you didn't do your research. You had 6 months to do your job. You didn't do your job.
It's exactly the same thing that most municipalities in the state are doing.
Yeesh.
And once again,
table it.
If
table it.
the powers that be above us had been more organized,
maybe if you had
we
did
wouldn't
your
have to deal
job,
with this.
you had 6
But
months.
now it's up to us. So I see no other option than to opt
6
out
months to do this.
right now. And the
6
subcommittee will
months.
continue to look at all the aspects and
1,
give
2,
a recommendation
3,
in due
4,
time
5,
to council.
6
And then it will have to go to planning board.
6
Planning board will
months.
have to look at it. It will have to change the master plan, and a process will take place. And that's going to be the same process that's going to take place at a lot of
drag it out
municipalities in New Jersey.
while the cancer patients
So
wait.
we're really not doing much
while the
different
sick
than the
people
rest of
wait.
New Jersey right now.
While the suffering
And
people
that's
wait.
really all I have
How
to
long does
say.
the cancer patient wait for?
Thank you very much, Dimitri. Anybody else on council would like to speak? Go ahead, Susan.
Hi, yes, I would also like to thank everybody who attended tonight. I heard all of you. I understand your positions. I will be voting to opt out purely because I do not have enough information
You had 6
at
months.
this point to make an informed decision one way or the other.
In 6 months.
And I need that time.
What were you
for all
doing?
the research.
What have you been doing?
The subcommittee to be complete from my own individual research in order to be able to make an informed decision.
And you didn't
So
just start your research
right
4
now,
months ago.
I think the best
You should have
course of
researched it a
action,
year ago.
I agree.
Why didn't you
with
research
the,
this?
2 other
Why
council
didn't
members,
you
3 other
research
council
this? That's
members
what my question
that said
is.
They will be opting out.
I don't get
I am
it.
also going to be voting to opt out.
Why haven't you done your research? That's my question to you.
Anybody else?
Like, what is your research?
Say a comment. I would like to thank everyone for spending the time to call in and sharing your comments. I am also on the subcommittee, and I would like to state that personally, I'm very much in favor of seeing retail and possibly manufacturing licenses in town. And I'm hopeful that once the state Cannabis Commission releases its guidelines in August of this year, that we can quickly revisit the ordinance and see it through in the coming months. But as of tonight, with not enough information, I am going to be voting in favor of opting out.
While cancer patients are suffering, you're going to just
Thank
wait.
you, Christina.
Make them wait.
Anybody else? I don't think there's anybody else left, is there? Myself, I got to thank everybody for coming out. And I've learned a few things tonight from people. I've been in government a long, long time, over 20 years. And I know how long it takes to do something. It takes 2 meetings probably to mop the floor. But something to this big decision here, I think the best thing to do is to opt out and do your homework as our subcommittee is doing. And I'm sure see that one person on that committee right now is on the opposite side. And that means that the committee is going to work harder and harder, and he's not going to leave a leaf unturned, a stone unturned. He's going to get it done and get it done right.
Leaf, get it.
And when time August comes, we may have it together, and we may learn what the state has to do with it, and we'd be able to put some kind of ordinance together. So, saying that, I'm going to call for a vote. Debbie?
Ms. Bluth,
Yes.
Mr. Chickalese,
Yes.
Ms. Fowler,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson,
No.
Mr. Missoura,
Yes.
Mr. Musing.
Yes.
So carried, 5 yeses and 1 no. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on with the agenda. We have ordinance 2021-07, first reading and introduction, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 4 entitled Licensing of the revised general ordinance of the Borough of Hightstown relating to peddlers, solicitors, and canvassers.
All right. All right, boys and girls, I'm out of here. Go get some coffee. That was an interesting meeting. We have a board meeting tonight, so I got to get out of here. All right, well, In 13600, I have to go back and get that comment. There's a few clips I want to get for the podcast Thursday. A little bit of gold there, but not much. Not like the other day. Yeah. Wow. Ignorance is no excuse. You all have a good night. And I'll say it again. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end, against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will